FNAF has a lot of jump scares, and I mean a lot. But would you be surprised if I told you most of them don't even happen? What do I mean, you might be asking? Well, a jump scare, as you know, ends your game. But most games you survive the night, so the jump scare isn't canon. In this video, we will go through all the FNAF games from FNAF 1 to Security Breach, and we will be looking at all the jump scares that actually happened, or could have happened, and hopefully not destroy the FNAF timeline. So starting off this list, we need to go back to FNAF 4. Right at the start of the game, whilst we play as the crying child, we get a quick jump scare from our brother. Something to note is that this is one of the only human jump scares in the whole FNAF franchise, except this Markiplier one. This jump scare actually happens twice during the game, and it's when we are walking through the house. When we reach the living room and attempt to turn on the TV, Mike decides to jump us again. Technically, this jump scare doesn't end our game, but it still has the same sound effect as the animatronic jump scares, so I think it's safe to include this on the list. This next one is a little bit of a maybe. It involves a animatronic called Fredbear. So the bite of 83 was done by Fredbear. So if we are to say the nightmare version is similar or a manifestation of the real animatronic, this could mean Nightmare Fredbear's jump scare could be canon. This one I can't really say did happen, so I will leave it up to you guys if you think this is really a canon jump scare. Moving on to FNAF 2, we need to discuss something. Okay, ready? Who did the bite of 87? I know, it's a tough question. Like, Toy Chica did lose her beak during the night, so she may have done it. Also in UCN, one of her game over voice lines literally says,
"Where's my beak? Lodged in your forehead, of course."
But then Mangle is potentially another culprit as well. Its jump scare literally involves the animatronic biting your head. So why do I mention this? Well, if Mangle did the bite of 87, then looking at the jump scare, it may mean Mangle's jump scare is canon, as on night 7, when we complete the night, the pink slip that we get for completing it says we were fired for tampering with animatronics and odor. Why would we smell of odor? It might be because we were sweating really hard, and I mean, maybe it's night 7, so this could be true, like a joke from Scott, but I think it may be because we got bit, and Fazbear Entertainment tried sweeping it under the rug by giving a pink slip. Yeah, I know this sounds super wacky, and I already know you FNAF theorists are gonna absolutely flame me in the comments, but it would be kinda cool to know Mangle's jump scare could have actually happened. For Toy Chica, I mean, if her UCN voice line is an actual indication to her character in game, then potentially her jump scare could be canon as well. The same principle of Mangle's jump scare could very well apply to Toy Chica's character as well, if my completely wacky theory holds some truth, which it probably doesn't. Okay, this next one isn't as confusing, because I can completely say this jump scare actually did happen. In FNAF sister location, after the events of night 3, our character, presumably being Mike Afton, walks back to the main office after repairing Funtime Freddy and Bon Bon. On the way back, we move through Funtime Foxy's auditorium, which is pretty quiet. As we get to around 3/4 the way back, we get a sudden jump scare of Funtime Foxy. The confusing part is the game doesn't end. It just turns into a black screen, and we are greeted with the opening of night 4. So, what actually happened during this moment? Well, Funtime Foxy gives us a little surprise and literally jump scares us. Then we either got knocked out by Funtime Foxy, or simply we fainted on the spot. I like to think Funtime Foxy just punched us and we got knocked out cold. After Funtime Funtime Foxy, delivers a knockout blow, we are picked up and taken straight into the repair room, where we remain completely dozed off until the next day. We then got woken up by the clumsy repair crew, which started the events of night 4. Whatever happened during us being unconscious and the events of night 4, the jump scare of Funtime Foxy is completely canon and is one of the only times we physically see a canon jump scare during the events of the games. This next one is actually quite sad. During the events of FNAF 1, we get accustomed to a certain someone. At the beginning of every night, we get a call from an anonymous person under the name Phone Guy. Phone Guy is our helper and is a former night guard of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. He gives us crucial knowledge which helps us get through the nights, and overall, he is rather a good guy. Night 4, however, we are greeted with a rather concerned and scared Phone Guy. He mentions he is low on power and that the animatronics are constantly swarming his office. Eventually, he comes to the conclusion that there is no hope and his death is imminent. He sits there and accepts the end, which is inevitable, and we hear this play out. The end of the Phone Guy is a topic of discussion, as we are not completely sure who the culprit behind the jump scare was. Let's play the end of Phone Guy's audio tape.
I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
This theory I'm about to talk about is from the Withered FNAF channel, so I will leave this video in the description. During this tape, we hear banging on the door. Foxy is the only one who could do this, and the door must have been shut. This means Bonnie was also unable to jump scare Phone Guy. Freddy's lullaby was playing, so we know Freddy was in the West Hall, as this is the only time Freddy sings his lullaby. Also, the power would have been on still. We hear a moan just before the jump scare, and this only plays when Chica or Bonnie are ready to attack, so it would make sense if Chica did the jump scare. Another possibility is that the jump scare was a combined effort from the animatronics, and this would have involved each animatronic. Scott purposely had all the animatronics audios in the call so that the culprit of the jump scare would be hard to pin. So, how about the culprit was the whole crew? The reason why this answer matters is because if we know who did the jump scare, this would make the animatronics jump scare canon during that Phone Guy call. This one again is up to discussion, so I will leave it up to you guys on who did the Phone Guy jump scare. Another potential jump scare, or in this case jump scares, as there are a lot more than one animatronic which could have been canon in FNAF 3. The phantom animatronics are kind of hallucinations which the player has during the nights of FNAF 3. This makes it very hard to pinpoint which phantom animatronic jump scare actually happened, but for this particular case, I think it's safe to say all the phantom animatronic jump scares actually happened, unless the player or Mike was able to completely avoid the ventilation from going off, and if you have played FNAF 3, you know this is close to impossible. Next is going to be Ultimate Custom Night. This game is a weird one because the whole story of it is essentially William Afton's purgatory after the events of the games. He is essentially dead, but is kept alive purely out of hatred for what he did during the events of the earlier games. This technically lasts forever, so I'm gonna say William Afton has probably seen or has been jump scared by every animatronic in this game. With that, we get a lot of canon jump scares. Now, our next and last game is going to be FNAF Security Breach, which has a few canon jump scares. During the game, Gregory and Freddy head toward the main atrium, and when we arrive here, we are conveniently greeted with Mapbot. This meeting is quite quick as we, the player, get jump scared and handed a map, so I guess we can now find out where we are. This happens multiple times. Another time this happens is when we traverse through the basement. When Freddy gets abducted by Moon, we are then tasked with getting through the basement alone. However, we get jump scared again by Mapbot as we venture through the hallways. We also get jump scared at Roxy's Raceway, which again is by a Mapbot. However, this one seems to be decommissioned. Even after the place is completely wrecked in the events of Rune, we get another jump scare as we traverse through Roxy's Raceway as Cassidy. So the Mapbots actually pose more of a threat than the actual animatronics themselves. If we want to get extremely optimistic, then we can say that Help Wanted jump scares are canon, as to get the canon ending, we need to complete the entirety of Help Wanted. However, we don't know if Vanessa would have lost the games, so this one is kind of a maybe. So unless Vanessa first tried every Help Wanted level, then this one is not canon. And with that, those are all the canon FNAF jump scares, and hopefully the FNAF timeline is still intact after this video. As always, thanks for watching and goodbye.